Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, September 7th. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. We're all in this together, trying to get through another day of scorching heat. And for most of us, it's not easy. And if your local schools are without air conditioning or dealing with broken ones, beating the heat means letting kids go home early. This as other districts scramble to install portable units in the name of safety. Here's KPBS education reporter MG Perez.
It's raining sunshine and sizzling temperatures across the county, which makes it convenient that this is a minimum day at many schools, like Sherman Elementary near downtown San Diego. The air conditioning is back on after a brief breakdown last week, to the relief of parents trying their best to keep their children safe.
And it's very hot, obviously, the temperatures right now, and just being in a classroom with lots of people, it makes it feel hotter.
Sherman Elementary is in the San Diego Unified School District, which has been more successful than most in keeping kids cool. The San Diego Unified School Board was thinking about air conditioning well before this latest heat wave. Back in 2015, the school board approved a master plan to install AC in every classroom, paid for with bond money. That plan worked for the most part, with the exception of San Diego High School, which did not get air conditioning because the district was tied up in a dispute with the city of San Diego over another long-term lease of the land here. That got figured out and renovations are underway, with AC gradually being installed. But it's a big campus.
Imagine heading to one class and another class, and my classes are really far from each other, so by the end of the time that I get to my class, I'm always thirsty, I'm sweating, no air, so it's so hard.
The contractor doing renovations has provided some portable AC units, while the district has distributed 120 additional units to other schools where the air conditioning went out.
The way we triage how to prioritize repairs, it really depends on how many folks are impacted by an outage. So let's say an entire school goes down, that's going to be prioritized over a school that potentially lost air conditioning in a building.
In Poway Unified, 3 schools continue to be without air conditioning, including here at Midland Elementary, where parents picked up kids at noon to get them home from the heat. Bernardo Heights Middle School and Rancho Bernardo High School also continue to have no consistent air conditioning, so students are being released early as well. Parents have been promised crews are working to fix the ongoing problem. Meanwhile, the San Diego County Office of Education is monitoring the situation and offering support as it can.
Serve as a little bit of an air traffic controller, connecting our school leaders with the people from CAL FIRE, from SDG&E, from agencies like Public Health, just to make sure that our school leaders have access to the most up-to-date information so they can keep our kids and employees safe.
So the heat is on, and so are the solutions to deal with it. MG Perez, KPBS News.
A big question and concern on most of our minds is, will the power stay on? Officials are doing all that they can to keep the grids running and pleading with people to conserve power, especially from now until 9 o'clock tonight. Governor Gavin Newsom is praising Californians for responding to text message alerts to cut back their electricity use during a time of record demand. And that saved utility companies from resorting to rotating power outages.
27 million of those text messages went out. And within 45 minutes, we saw roughly 2,600 megawatt reduction in usage. Had that not happened, we would have had some episodic load reduction.
And reporter Ivan Rodriguez with a look at the extreme weather conditions and when relief may be in sight.
For the 8th day in a row, the California Independent System Operator is urging residents to conserve power as sweltering heat continues to fry the Golden State.
I'm not cool, man. As you can see, I'm sweating, bro.
10 cities in California set an all-time high temperature records Tuesday. In Davis, California, some residents say they lost power as temperatures reached a high of 113 degrees.
Pretty hot day at work. I was just trying to cool off. Boom, everything shut off.
The hot and dry conditions aggravating deadly wildfires across the area.
We believe our house was saved.
Near Hemet, California, firefighters are battling the Fairview fire. The fire burning 5,000 acres and killing 2 people as of Wednesday, and it remains only 5% contained.
Thankfully, we're all right, and a few of our other neighbors are all right.
The heat wave in California is expected to last through at least Friday.
Hopefully, things get better soon in the next week.
A growing concern now coming from more than 200 miles off the coast of San Diego. Hurricane K could bring extreme rain to the coast as strong winds head east. Ivan Rodriguez, KPBS News.
And speaking of Hurricane K, we'll have more on the potential impact here in San Diego and when we could see a chance of rain and thunderstorms as well as a cool down. That's coming up in your full weather forecast. A new version of the COVID booster has arrived in San Diego tonight. The county confirmed it received the first shipment of doses, but getting it will still be a challenge for now. Here's KPBS reporter John Carroll.
From the Biden administration this morning, a call for most people to get the new booster.
We expect millions of people to get the shot this month as folks get back to school, get back to work, and get back into their regular routines after the summer.
But who should get the new shot and when? We reached out to health systems around the county as well as the county health department. No one was available for an interview, but we did submit a list of questions to the county. As to who and when, a health department spokesperson said, anyone over 18 who's had at least 2 vaccines, with the last one coming at least 2 months ago. Those with comorbidities should check with their health provider and then schedule a booster. The only problem is the new boosters aren't here yet in any significant amounts. The spokesperson said, some local pharmacies have already gotten them and some medical groups may have as well. We were told between September 6th and the 9th. We did hear back from Scripps Health. Their spokesperson said that Scripps had already requested 8,000 doses and that they expect to get them sometime this week. The new booster combines elements of the original vaccine along with protection against the currently circulating versions of Omicron. Now that school is either back in session or soon will be, parents have questions about if their children should get them. The county health department says yes. 12 and older can get the Pfizer version. The Moderna vaccine is for people 18 and up. San Diego County has fared much better than most of the rest of the country when it comes to COVID. As we head into fall and winter, the hope is with spreading immunity and the new boosters, it can stay right where it is, in the low-risk category. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Some new numbers just released, show 321 total cases of monkeypox here in San Diego County. This comes as the FDA is clearing red tape to allow for increasing testing capacity. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman spoke with a local doctor whose monkeypox advice is going viral.
Hi, it's Dr. Carlton giving you a monkeypox update for August 25th.
San Diego-based gastroenterologist Dr. Carlton Thomas has racked up millions of views on TikTok and Instagram, giving out information about monkeypox symptoms, vaccines, and how the virus spreads.
Messaging matters. And when it comes from someone like me who's very sex positive, who is a gay man, who does the same thing everybody else does in the gay community, I think when it comes from me, it's a little easier to listen to than if it were to come from some crusty, heterosexual, 75-year-old guy in a suit and tie.
Thomas says monkeypox messaging hasn't always been consistent from health officials. Majority of cases are among men who have sex with men, and while close skin-to-skin contact is a way to transmit monkeypox, it's mainly spreading through sex.
I think there's a certain fear of angering the gay community about that. And also a fear of have it being weaponized. And so I think there's been confusion in messaging because of that fine line that government officials have to walk to make sure that we aren't demonized, but at the same time educated.
With monkeypox vaccines in limited supply, Thomas has been using his social media to get the word out about when appointments become available. He also does live Q&A videos and says most people are curious about the vaccines. Personally, he'd like to see more data.
There's a theoretical 98% coverage after 2 shots. And there's also a theoretical, once you get monkeypox, you should never get it again. But we don't know that in the real world these days because of this new variant of the infection. So we need data about vaccine effectiveness, about antibody levels, and about whether or not people are getting infected after those 2 shots.
If in supply, vaccines are available at local clinics, healthcare providers, and county sites. Keep in mind, appointments are typically required. Nationwide and in California, monkeypox cases have been trending downward, something Thomas attributes to vaccinations and behavior changes.
It's made a difference. And this 40% drop in cases, although I don't want to become complacent about it, because as soon as you become complacent about a drop, that's when things start going back up again. We still need to protect ourselves. We still need to get those vaccines.
Anyone can contract monkeypox. In San Diego County, just under 7,000 vaccine doses have been given out. There's another county-sponsored pop-up vaccine clinic at the North County LiveWell Center on Thursday, but all of those slots have been filled up. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And we have a special page on our website tracking the latest monkeypox news locally with our latest reporting and information on vaccines. Look for the link on our homepage, kpbs.org. More opportunities for higher education are coming to the South Bay. Today, Chula Vista city officials rolled out plans for the new university development project. By the year 2025, this lot will be home to the Cinema Arts Academic Center and Library. It's located right off of Millennia Avenue, just a few blocks away from the Millennia Town Center and Otay Ranch Mall. The building will be a 168,000 square foot facility, including a new television, film, and new media production studio for San Diego State University. Chula Vista Mayor Mary Salas says a project like this has been in the works for more than 3 decades.
Along the way, we had so many naysayers that said Chula Vista couldn't do this. Why are they chasing this dream? And today I can tell those people, we do it in Chula Vista. We have vision for the future. We want to make our community better.
And right now, the city has a partnership with SDSU and Southwestern Community College, and they're looking to expand in the future. We are 2 months away from the midterm elections, and California voters will be asked to consider a number of propositions. Prop 26 would legalize sports betting at tribal casinos at the state's 4 horse race tracks. Here's Cal Matters reporter Grace Getty.
Would you put money on Steph Curry or LeBron James? Want to bet on the Rams winning the Super Bowl again? In 2018, the Supreme Court allowed states to legalize commercial sports betting. Since then, more than half of U.S. states have made the move. Then came a flurry of initiatives to legalize sports betting in California. 2 will appear on your ballot. Prop 27, funded by FanDuel, DraftKings, and other large gaming companies, would legalize online sports betting. We have a separate video for that. But there's another, Prop 26. I'll explain.
Hi, I'm Grace Getty, economy reporter at Cal Matters, and I'm going to explain Prop 26 in a minute.
Prop 26 would legalize sports betting at tribal casinos and at California's 4 horse race tracks. This prop, funded by several Native American tribes, would also allow tribal casinos to start offering roulette and dice games. If it passes, Prop 26 will allow anyone to sue for certain gaming law violations. Analysts estimate Prop 26 could generate tens of millions of dollars for the state annually, which would first fund schools and gambling regulation. Any money left over would go to the state's main fund and also fund things like mental health programs. Opponents are led by card rooms, which offer games like poker and pai gow. They say this idea would trigger more lawsuits against them, leading to lost jobs and tax revenue. Supporters say it will increase tribal self-sufficiency and draw more business to tribal casinos. Vote yes if you want to allow sports betting at racetracks and tribal casinos. And you want tribal casinos to add roulette and dice games. Vote no if you do not. One not-so-small disclaimer. If both sports betting initiatives pass, it's possible both could go into effect. But in all likelihood, a court would have to decide. To learn more about this proposition and others, visit calmatters.org.
And for more on the election, check out the KPBS Voter Hub. We also have a version for our Spanish-speaking audience. You can get to our Voter Hub from our homepage or by going to kpbs.org/elections. Tree shade is proven to help reduce hot temperatures, but many neighborhoods don't have enough trees on the ground to begin with. As KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne shows us, that changed today for one park in Vista.
Rain Tree Park in Vista didn't get any rain today, but it did get a shipment of new trees.
We're trying to increase the tree canopy in disadvantaged communities. If those communities have existing irrigation or the ability to maintain the trees long term, those are high probability areas. And then parks like this who lack a little bit of shade, those are high priority areas for trees to go in as well.
Lynette Short with CAL FIRE says it's part of a grant to plant 2,000 trees in San Diego County. The city of Vista got 200 of them.
You can see all this commotion is beautiful commotion. We got trees.
Councilmember Corina Contreras joined Urban Corps members in getting some trees in the ground.
This area in Vista desperately needs trees. You know, we're going through a heat wave moving forward. It's only going to get hotter. And what trees do, not only do they provide a beautiful scene for everybody to enjoy, but they provide shade.
While it will be some time before the trees planted provide more shade, Contreras says they will help this urban neighborhood have more green space to enjoy.
So you see everywhere, right, in the city, there's pavement, you got concrete, asphalt, very few impervious surfaces. That heat radiates up. And when it's 100 degrees, when we have no trees, it actually feels hotter. So being able to plant more trees where people congregate, where they can enjoy the park under the shade is extremely important.
She hopes this is only the beginning of a lot more trees getting planted in the city.
But we got to move this to North Santa Fe because that's our transportation corridor that you have people walking and biking and taking public transit every day, and there is very little shade there.
Last month, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill that would require the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection to complete a statewide plan to increase tree canopy cover in urban areas by 10%. The department has until 2025 to submit a plan to the legislature. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Health experts are encouraging parents to watch for signs of heat-related illnesses in their children. Frank Sternilio is a nurse in the emergency department at Rady Children's Hospital, and he explains in very hot and humid weather, our body's natural cooling system may begin to fail, causing cramps, exhaustion, or heat stroke. And it is more difficult for smaller children to regulate their own temperatures, so it could take longer to get their bodies to cool down. He says the emergency room has seen an increase in kids with heat-related symptoms during the heat wave.
Some of the big symptoms are fatigue, headache, loss of energy. I mean, kids are pretty active, and so if you notice a substantial decrease in how hard they're playing, that could be a first subtle sign.
If you believe a child is experiencing one of these symptoms, the best thing to do is bring the child to a cooler place indoors. Encourage the child to drink water only if they are alert. Place a cool, wet cloth on their skin and call a doctor for advice. Wearing loose, light-colored clothing can help keep kids cool, as well as having regular water breaks to prevent dehydration.
The Southwest has been under a dangerous heat wave for days. That persists, keeping the fire threat elevated. But then by the time we get to late this week into the weekend, we'll start to watch some rain and some wind arrive, courtesy of Hurricane K, and we will talk about that. But first things first, it continues to be all about the heat. Excessive heat warnings continue into the evening all the way to the coast, so not even getting relief to the beaches, where it will also be on the hot side. So that extreme heat does roll on 15 to 30 degrees above normal. Thankfully, over the next few days, this will start to trim back, but until then, we're still seeing high energy demands, high fire danger, and that risk for heat-related illnesses. Overnight tonight, mainly clear but very humid, lows in the mid-70s in the metro. even region-wide, we're talking about a very muggy night. 70s all the way to the coast, even Borrego Springs not dropping much below 80 degrees. Then as we move forward into the day on Thursday, a lot of warm to hot sunshine, still near 90 in San Diego, 99 in El Cajon, and Ramona, triple-digit heat once again. Then as we get to later this week, all eyes turn to K. Now the most significant impacts will be felt through Baja California and through western Mexico, but even some impacts will be felt into Southern California later this week, especially in the rain department, where we could even see an inch or two of rain make it in here. So over the next 5 days, still okay for Thursday at the coast, but then Friday it will be warm, but rain and storms move in to bust that heat by the weekend. Inland Friday and Saturday, we've got rain and storms in the forecast, courtesy of that tropical moisture. After that, drying out and much cooler early next week. In the mountains, look at this, that rain keeping temperatures in the 60s for Friday and Saturday, a welcome change from the heat. And in the deserts, once again, rain and storms arriving Friday and Saturday, temperatures knocked down in the 80s. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Ben Reppert.
For more than 2 decades, Film Out has been San Diego's LGBTQ film festival. Tomorrow it kicks off at the San Diego Natural History Museum and then moves to the Museum of Photographic Arts for 3 days of features, shorts, and documentaries. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando has a preview.
The great thing about Film Out is that it not only programs crowd-pleasing fare, but it also likes to push audiences' boundaries and point out the intersection of horror and queer.
I mean, horror has always been stories of outsiders and, you know, monsters and people seen as monsters and sort of unconventional heroes or heroines fighting back, you know, against the monster. And I think that there's a queerness that's kind of always been there. And, you know, I think only recently have films and books and stories been starting to come out where queer people are at the center.
Carter Smith's feature Swallowed screens at Film Out and ventures into body horror, which Smith has always been drawn to.
You know, as a queer kid growing up in the 80s and early 90s, like I sort of came of age when, you know, I was pretty afraid of my body and pretty afraid of sex. Like I was, you know, like AIDS was like the forefront of everything. And like every mole or, you know, rash was like, oh, like I was convinced that I was going to die and I was petrified of sex, you know? So there was this like, this real sense that horror and sex and the body were sort of tied together in a way that I don't think I've ever quite been able to shake.
Smith looks forward to the in-person Film Out screening because he likes to watch audiences watch his film.
It's been amazing to sit in the theater and watch people kind of squirm in their seats and gasp and kind of and at the end, you know, talking to people afterwards, you know, to find people like crying and, you know, sort of touched by this, you know, kind of tender love story that's hiding at the heart of this really messed up body horror film.
Benjamin Howard's Rendezvous is not body horror, but it did present the filmmaker with shooting his first sex scene, which can be scary.
The short explores a number of things, one of which is kind of the gray areas of consent. And so it's not easy. And so you want to tread lightly. You want to make sure that everyone's very comfortable. We had an intimacy coordinator on set who was phenomenal to work with. Amanda Blumenthal is her name, and she really kind of made the difference between me just coming into this scared out of my mind and me approaching this like, okay, cool.
Howard grew up in San Diego, but Rendezvous became a class project at UCLA.
You ask yourself, well, what's my end goal? If my end goal is to make, you know, a feature version of something, but I don't quite have the means to do that just yet. Hi.
Looks like my package arrived.
Okay, great. Start with the proof of concept. Maybe you take a scene from that feature script and you turn that into a short. And that's basically what we did with Rendezvous, the short film.
Another film with local roots is Rachel Ernest's Moving Out, which was shot in the director's hometown of Oceanside.
Sometimes I ask myself, why did I decide to do it this way? Because, you know, it was challenging to see who came out to help us and who did not.
The church administration scenes where the main character overhears a man asking whether his son can marry another man were shot at the director's childhood church.
The General Assembly has left this decision to the local church government.
Those were at my childhood church, and so it was really, really special to me to be able to film there because it's not completely based on a true story. It does hit close to home.
The upcoming Moving Out screening at Film Out is particularly exciting for Ernest.
I have all these people from the church community who are coming out to this LGBTQ festival, and I think it's amazing. I honestly never thought that this could happen.
Film Out will be making amazing things happen tomorrow through Sunday at venues in Balboa Park. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, a record-setting heat wave pushes California's energy grid to the brink. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. On Morning Edition, part 1 of a special investigation into how an El Cajon nursing home stays open despite records of abuse and neglect. And then on Midday Edition, claims of sexual harassment in the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley. And by the following: by viewers like you. Thank you.